At 18 years old, he was too young to legally drink, too young to vote. And yet, on one freezing morning high above Nazi-controlled Europe, this teenage gunner stared into a gun sight that did not work. The glass was cracked. The calibration was wrong. The targeting reticle, the one thing meant to keep him alive, was useless. Any instructor would have grounded the aircraft. Any sane crew would have aborted the mission. But history does not remember safe decisions. It remembers moments where broken things create legends. Because that day, with a damaged sight and shaking hands, a teenage boy would shoot down 6 German Messerschmitt fighters and change the way air gunners fought forever. This is not a story about perfect weapons. This is a story about instinct, fear, and a flaw that became an advantage. Part 1, A Boy and a Man's War. World War II had a way of stealing childhoods. By 1943, Allied bomber losses were catastrophic. Young men were needed, desperately. Training programs were rushed. Age requirements were quietly adjusted. That is how an 18-year-old farm kid found himself strapped into the belly of a heavy bomber, flying over Europe at 25,000 feet, with nothing but thin aluminum between him and death. He was a gunner, not a pilot. No glory, no control over where the plane went. His job was simple: kill the enemy before they kill you. German Messerschmitt, Bf-109S and Bf-110, hunted bombers like wolves. They attacked head-on, from below, from blind angles. A gunner had seconds, sometimes less, to react, and everything depended on the gun sight. Part 2, The Broken Sight. The problem appeared before the mission even began. During pre-flight checks, the teenage gunner noticed something wrong. The reflector sight, his aiming reference, was misaligned. The reticle floated. Targets didn't line up. Range estimation was impossible. Ground crew offered a quick fix. It didn't work. The mission clock was ticking. Engines were already warming. Crews were boarding. There was no replacement aircraft. No spare sight. Command gave a simple order: fly it. Inside the bomber, the teenager swallowed his fear. Because once airborne, there was no turning back. As the bomber formation crossed into enemy territory, the sky turned hostile. Flak bursts punched black holes through the clouds. The aircraft shook violently. Oxygen masks froze. Hands went numb. Then came the radio call every gunner dreaded. Bandits incoming. Messerschmitts rose from the sun. Fast, precise, deadly. The teenage gunner swung his turret, heart pounding, and that's when something strange happened. Instead of trying to line up the broken reticle, he stopped using it entirely. Part 4, The Instinct Shift. Training taught gunners to aim through the sight, but his sight was lying, so he did something instructors never encouraged. He began aiming past the sight. He watched the tracers. He felt the vibration of the guns. He judged distance by motion, not math. Without the reticle, his brain stopped overthinking. No calculations, no corrections, just instinct. The first Messerschmitt crossed his firing arc. He squeezed the trigger. Part 5, First Kill. The tracers stitched across the sky. The German pilot expected a clean pass. Instead, rounds tore into the engine cowling. The fighter rolled violently, then disappeared in smoke. The gunner froze. He hadn't aimed. He had reacted, and something clicked. Part 6, Turning Disadvantage into Weapon. Wave after wave attacked. Most gunners tracked cautiously. They waited for perfect alignment. This teenager didn't. He fired early, adjusted instantly, let muscle memory guide him. His broken sight forced him to shoot faster and unpredictably. German pilots couldn't read his fire pattern. One by one, a second Messerschmitt exploded mid-climb. A third lost a wing. A fourth spiraled away, trailing fire. By the 5th kill, the bomber crew was shouting. By the 6th, enemy fighters broke off entirely. Part 7, The Aftermath. When the bomber limped home, riddled with holes, ground crews stared in disbelief. 6 confirmed kills, from one gun position, from an 18-year-old. With a broken sight, intelligence officers interviewed him for hours. How did you aim? What technique did you use? What adjustment formula? His answer was simple. I didn't aim. I just shot where it felt right. Part 8, The Unexpected Legacy. The Air Force quietly took notice. Later training manuals emphasized tracer observation, situational awareness, instinctive fire. They never officially credited the teenage gunner, but his experience influenced doctrine. Sometimes removing a crutch reveals real skill. Deep outro, the lesson history teaches. That teenage gunner survived the war. Millions didn't. His story reminds us of something uncomfortable. Perfection is overrated. Control is an illusion. And sometimes broken tools force us to discover what we're truly capable of. In the chaos of war, in the noise of life, when the sight is broken and the rules collapse. Inst.